Okay, let us see. Well, we have affirmations, we have mindfulness of breathing, we have jhana, we have labeling, we have mental noting, we have metta, we have mindful prostrations, we have EFT, we have mindfulness-based body scans. We have all kinds of exercises that supposedly deal with anxiety and all those things. How should I ever decide what to do? I mean, there are so many. Maybe I should just do all of them? Almost daily, people everywhere on the internet come up with new methods against anxiety or other forms of negative emotions. At times, it even looks like a huge confusing mess without any patterns or regularities. However, most of all of those exercises are based on the very same mechanism of the mind. Today we will analyze a good many of those exercises superficially and explain what they do and why they work. Here is a list of practices people prescribe on the internet with almost magical effects, and there are countless of them. First, it starts with simple things like brushing your teeth with the other hand, repeating healing mantras or prayers or other things. There are emotional freedom techniques, breathing exercises, meditation, being present. There are an awful many present exercises. Thankfulness, self-forgiving, ho'oponopono, metta, and there are even physical methods like smelling salts or context changes, or even exercises, just to name a few. But what on earth could all those methods have in common? After all, they look and feel completely different from each other, and in some sense they truly are different from each other. In other aspects, however, they are completely identical and just different methods of achieving the very same goal. From that perspective even, they just differ in their look and feel aspect. And depending on prior conditioning of the person that does them, they appeal to different kinds of people, let's say it like that. And the common denominator is the interruptive capability of mental automatisms or habits. Or if you want to use Buddhist terminology, the common denominator is mindfulness. No matter what of those exercises you do, they have the purpose of interrupting your thought chain and the associated negative emotions long enough to give you enough room to breathe and reassess your situation. You replace the old content of the mind with something new that is preferably the present moment. And let us now just go through a few of those examples to better convey the point and give you an idea how this mindfulness thing works. Mindfulness in essence just means that we mentally observe what happens in our minds. That very process already alters the thought pattern and has the potential to interrupt it. If you are mindful of what you do, you aren't engaging in the thought chain in the usual way. Thus, it is something different, and thus you do not follow your usual habit anymore. Thus, mindfulness alone already weakens the mental habit, if you want to put it like that. And you know that it is true if you ever wanted to observe your own thought, but you couldn't find anything, even if you tried to look. Then you know what I mean. Thoughts are very, subtle. As soon as you start to look, they go away. The measurement influences the system in a sense. And the same is true for all kinds of other things. For example, mantra exercises are a very good example. If you repeat a mantra in your mind, it almost fills your entire mind with just the syllable that you repeat. And once you do that, there is no room for anything else. Thus, you become very mindful of the present moment and replace the content of your mind with something different, namely the mantra. And the labeling, mental labeling or noting techniques of Mahaya Sayadaw, for example, serve the very same purpose. You start to look at the content of your thoughts in a different light. And instead of engaging in the thoughts like you usually would, you do something different by labeling or noting those thoughts, or sometimes even knowing. And the emotional freedom technique, for example, where you knock on wood in very specific patterns, you also replace the content of your mind with something else. Thus, you become mindful of the present moment, and you can't really do your negative thinking anymore, because the knocking on wood in specific patterns requires a lot of attention and a lot of concentration. Thus, it interrupts the mental thought chain that keeps you shackled to negativity. And even very physical things like smelling salts serve the very same purpose. You sniff on the smelling salt, and then it feels like you got hit in the face. And when you got hit in the face, there is no room for any negative thought chain or something like that, because the fight or flight response in the human mind is triggered, and thus the thought chain is interrupted. It is a very brutal way of achieving that, but nonetheless it works. And the same is also true for exercise. If you truly exercise and really exert yourself, there's no room for overthinking, as the mental capacities, are needed elsewhere. You replace the content of your thought with something else, and thus there's no room for negativity. And things like prayer or breathing exercises all fulfill this purpose. You replace the content of your mind with something completely different, and in doing so, you interrupt the negative thinking and the emotions that result from it. Okay, but let us now come to the most important point. There are countless practices out there that supposedly help against anxiety and other negative emotions, and people often argue what is the best. In reality, most of them are just based on mindfulness and replacing bad states of mind with something different. The thing you replace it with is almost arbitrary. It is just important that the negative thought chain is interrupted. All you have to do is choose the one exercise you like the most and get good at it. Don't switch too often. Try something new out for a few weeks. See if you can do it. And if the answer is yes, then repeat it over and over again until it stops working. If it ever stops working. Might as well be the case that it is working for all eternity. And if you want to be serious about fighting causes, choose meditation as the method to go. Any method that interrupts thought patterns or mental habits works. Choose what resonates best with you and what you can adhere to best. Okay, and that is pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you feel like I missed something, however, also please let me know in the comment section so that other people, and especially I, can benefit from your wisdom. But until then, I wish you a pleasant day and goodbye.